You're listening to the True North Success Podcast. Real stories of personal, professional, and financial wins from Alberta's best. With your hosts, Gary Ma and Amy Kim.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, my special guest is Sonia Kalra and Kapil. She's an experienced entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of NatureMerry, a biological-based body care company. With a background in biological sciences from Dalhousie University, she specializes in creating innovative wellness products that utilize the soothing power of non-cannabis terpenes. These unique formulations are designed to provide health benefits similar to CBD, but without actually using cannabis. Born in Mumbai and having lived in Qatar, Sonia eventually moved to Canada at a young age. Her career has come full circle as she is now successfully sells her health and wellness products in both India and North America. A dedicated advocate for women's health, she combines her scientific expertise in research and formulations to lead the natural product market. It is my pleasure to have Sonia, Kalra, and Cal on the show today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much,
having us,
Gary.
Gary.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
So, Sonia, I gave a quick overview of your success, but can you fill in the details of what you do, who you serve, and how long you've been doing this for? And maybe provide a little bit of an introduction about Kapil.
Yes. So I'm Sonia. I am one of the co-founders of NatureMerry, and Kapil. He is my husband and business partner. We've been together since we were kids, 14 and 15, and we've always worked together and somehow survived that. So and here we are. Here we are to speak another day about it all. Kapil is the president and co-founder of NatureMerry. Just a quick intro on his position. I can start with why I started NatureMerry, and it had nothing to do with science or my background. I was actually born with a very painful and debilitating condition called PMDD. And actually,
Mm-hmm.
April, coming up in a few days, it is PMDD Awareness Month.
Mm.
So PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It affects about 8% of women globally. It's a condition that lies at the crossroads between reproductive, psychiatric, and chronic pain.
Mm-hmm.
And for somebody like me, you're on a cyclical cycle of no hope and dysphoria. And dysphoria is pretty much a psychiatric issue where somebody else kind of shows up, and it's not just the normal PMS a woman goes through. It is literally debilitating. So, for more than half of my life, I lived with this condition. My background being in neuroscience and biology, I understood enough to know that this was a condition that was affecting my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that though, my options in real market were opioids, antidepressants, NSAIDs or like ibuprofen, Tylenol. But the issue that all of these things had on me, and I mean, I wasn't able to take them because I needed to take like eight to 10 of them a day to even feel the slightest effect.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't have very many options. And PMDD, unfortunately for women like me, it's a condition that has one of the highest rates of suicide in women
Mm.
because even when it does get diagnosed, you're kind of left on your own to figure it out. I was very lucky to have Kapil and his family early on in my life as a support system. But yeah, Nature Mary really was born out of this health need for myself. And I think I am one of the lucky ones that I've able to survive and thrive through this condition. More recently, I like to share this because I think it affects a lot of people, men and women. Um, More recently, I underwent menopause, surgically induced menopause,
Mm.
which for women like me with PMDD, this is bliss. But as I hear from a lot of women, menopause is not that. It comes with a slew of symptoms and issues that they're now left with dealing with later on in their life. So I think when you ask who am I serving, I think it's a very underserved population of women.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is that women are more than half of this planet. And so that's a lot of women to serve.
Yeah.
Um, So I think NatureMerry again, came out of my own need, discovering CBD early on in my career, understanding, how CBD worked in your body through the endocannabinoid system. And then Kapil's background actually was in large wholesale export, not so much in pharmaceuticals, but it was more on electronics. But when he came onto the company, he said, CBD is fantastic and I love what you're doing. He's like, but how do we make this a global impact? How do
Mm.
we help, if you're trying to, how do we do that? And so I put my research hat back on and we were in research for a few years. And then I started developing plant-based therapeutics with terpenes. So terpenes are essentially these bioactive compounds that are readily available in all plants. So when you smell something, the aroma, the flavor, those are terpenes.
Hmm.
What I discovered was my obsession with the CB2 receptor was uh, was front and center when I started this. And the CB2 receptor plays a very important role in inflammation, chronic pain, I mean, from immunity. So I was very intrigued by this one little receptor that, as a scientist, we were told that this you can only access this receptor with cannabis, which I found not true. And there's a lot of literature and research done on this receptor. Not enough to where we need to be, but enough where I was able to kind of catapult my own journey on this. And so when
Hmm.
Kapil came on, we started developing products that not only helped me. Initially, I was giving the products away, and so
Hmm.
he's like, "Hey, didn't you just make a bunch of stuff?" And this brand started in my kitchen. There wasn't a plan of this global.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just I needed
So
stuff.
real grassroots.
Absolutely. Yeah, I needed stuff. I started in my kitchen and started developing and tinkering and next thing you know, people were like, "Can I have more?" And so he would be like, "Oh, well, didn't you just like make a bunch of stuff like last week?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I mean, everyone loves it. Like it's working and it's great." And so that's kind of how Kapil came on this on the business side because I don't know if you can tell already, I wasn't the business mind behind all of this. I really came from a place of need.
Hmm.
And so starting to develop this, and having the background that I have was really helpful. So yeah, that's how Nature Mary started and why we started.
So, are the products more of a oral form or lotion or
Mm.
like how do you take it or how does
Yes.
it help you?
Yes. So the topicals that we have right now are all over the counter and you apply
Okay.
on your skin. We are working on ingestibles and our own delivery systems, in the background. But yes, in market right now we have cosmetics, but mainly our focus is the topical pain relief that we have. So we have a headache roller. We
Hmm.
have a cream that's effective from burns, cuts, scrapes to arthritis. And then we also have a few formats of pain relief via an oil or a
Hmm.
stick. And typically when people use it, within 15 minutes you can feel it. It's
Okay.
it's not something that you have to wait hours for. And I'm especially proud of the fact that this is 100% natural. We use
Okay.
no binders, no chemicals, no fillers, because I know how important it is for the body just to give it what it needs,
Right.
rather
Yeah.
than the synthetics. And it might have a little bit of impact on cost, but we've even tried to become an accessible brand, where, CBD typically is quite expensive.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but
So the products are more than just for PMDD. Is that right?
absolutely. Absolutely. PMDD, with PMDD, the conditions that I was dealing with was arthritis, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay.
So I was dealing with chronic pain conditions that affects a lot of women. And I think to tie that in, Gary, when women are going through perimenopause and menopause, their body changes because of the drop of estrogen. And a lot of these symptoms are mimicking that. So, a lot of us will feel like we have arthritis, the joint pain, the
Oh,
stiffness.
okay.
Yeah. And so with that comes this use of, you need to use stuff every day.
Hmm.
And to
Hmm.
support women in that, I believe that our products are truly phenomenal because they are a support for them every day as they're going through these changes.
Right. So with your products, I mean, they were originally focused for women. Now, do they apply to men?
Yeah, so everybody has an endocannabinoid system.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the focus is women, but then we, very often hear everybody in the family starts to use the products
Okay.
because it's that effective, right? Because it's not that only, men and women, we all have this system. So
Right.
tapping into the system just makes absolute sense for pain relief.
Right on. Very,
Yeah.
very, very cool. Like
Yeah.
I love the fact that, I mean, you're making it originally from your kitchen and now you've
Yeah.
grown so big, right? I
Yes.
mean, the growth and that journey is fantastic. Love hearing that kind of story.
Thank you. And I'm sure Kapil will be able to kind of fill in, as to how that happened. Like I said, to me, we knew that we were going to be a big presence because
Yeah.
this was something different and something new. And we manufacture in Canada, we're homegrown.
Right.
And so, yeah, let Kapil kind of talk a little bit about our growth
Yeah.
and where we are right
Yeah, I can definitely share some of our story and journey. When we really started, we were actually born out of COVID, so it was a very interesting time to be building a brand during COVID. Unfortunately for us at that time, a lot of the independents that we had were shutting down. They were, due to restrictions and due to closures, it almost killed our business. We lost probably close to 85 to 90% of our wholesale clients.
Okay.
Our e-commerce direct-to-consumer business was not strong at all.
Yeah.
So COVID almost crushed us. At that time, Sonia and I both had analyzed what was actually open during COVID, and it was grocery and Walmart. So we said, well, hey, listen, we had a body care line at that time, wasn't really so much focused around pain relief, and Sonia just did the brave thing of walking into our local Sobeys in Royal Oak in Calgary, and she met with the manager. The manager's like, "Hey, there's a gentleman that runs a local program. His name's Gary Hughes. Here's his email address. Reach out to him." We ended up reaching out to Gary, and it was sort of the last ditch effort to kind of save the business. We presented the products and the brand. He's like, listen, he's like, these products are fantastic, but he's like, your brand is higher end. We don't want to devalue it. But at that time, we had no choice. We said, Gary, well, you know what? This is sort of our last shot at presenting this brand, to sort of save the brand. So he gave us a flyer. He gave us a shot and said, hey, you know what? Here's a listing form. You guys can start going store to store and see if you guys can get some sales and start listing the product. And fortunately for us, I kind of threw on a blazer and a pair of jeans and had my mask on and was walking in store to store all around Calgary, all throughout Edmonton, and we started getting listings. And through that, we it actually saved our business. We actually had a new lease on life, not so much only for the aspect of surviving, but it was more an eye opener in terms of what could be in
Okay.
terms of retail. And I think that's
Yeah.
for me. I come from a very large scale global wholesale business that I sold in 2018, and it was not brand building, it was not retail.
Right.
So all of this was new to us at the time.
Yeah.
And sort of what opened our eyes to it was that, hey, listen, like there are channels here that we can grow outside of just some of the smaller independents that we deal with, and that was sort of the door opening for us, so to say, for retail, and that allowed us really to understand what retail looks like, understand what
Hmm.
that getting a product on the shelf looks like. I mean, at that time, Gary, we didn't even have UPC codes on our products.
Right.
We had to go
Okay.
back and get new packaging designed, and so it was, again, it was, like I said, it was a big eye opener for us. Fast forward a little bit, we launched our first pain relief product at the end of 2023, December 2023. We introduced that into the Sobeys local program, and it was a big hit for us. So at
Okay.
that time, we slowly started developing the brand, sort of started developing our value proposition in terms of who our target consumer is. And it was really based on Sonia's sort of hormonal battles that she was dealing with. So we realized that our target consumer is that woman from age 37 to 65. Body's changing, hormones are changing. There's a lot of things that come along with that. So yeah, really focused on sort of pain relief, inflammation control, joint muscle pain. That was sort of our value proposition that had emerged. And so we went through the process of going through there. We ended up getting a distributor, which was a whole different story, but again, another lesson learned. But what that did was it opened up additional retail for us. And
Hmm.
fast forward now, I mean, we're now in the Sobeys national program. We are national coast to
Okay.
coast. In
Right.
50 pharmacies throughout Sobeys, Safeway, IGA banners. We're in all London Drugs locations, Calgary Co-op,
Okay.
Metro in Ontario.
Yeah.
Just more recently, we opened up McKesson, which is going to open up another 10,000 doors for us,
Okay.
pharmacy channels. So yeah, so what started as again just a personal need for Sonia ended up blossoming into this large sort of movement in Canada. And with my background in export, that is now
Hmm.
opened up additional markets for us. So,
Okay.
India was our first test market when we first
Yeah.
started testing this in 2024. But now proud to say that, we're going throughout the Middle East, Japan, China.
Okay.
So these are some of the markets that we're now serving, and we're really excited about sort of the global growth that we're having now. So it's been quite a ride in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds phenomenal. Like going from kitchen table to global, distribution.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's fantastic.
Thank
What
you.
do you think kind of sets you apart from the competition? Like, what comes easy to you that others find challenging?
Yeah, I think, I'll let Sonia talk about sort of the science and sort of what we do in behind. We're essentially creating a new category right now. So we've
Hmm.
got the natural side, which has been the typical sort of homeopathic, natural essential oils. And then you have the pharmacy grade stuff that are, drug registered products like Tylenol and Advil, and then further behind the counter with prescription. I think the idea behind what we've done is that we are adding proof and trust and efficacy to the natural space leading into the pharma space. Now, let Sonia maybe touch on that a little bit in terms of the new category that we are creating, which is really exciting about what we're doing is that we're
Yeah.
not just, a natural product sitting on the shelf. There is science behind what we're doing. There are delivery systems now that we're creating that are really going to increase the efficacy and really the focus on exactly what we're focused on. So I'll let Sonia sort of touch on a little bit of the science.
Yeah, I think what we make maybe we come across as something that we're doing easily, but it's not easy to formulate natural products. And
Hmm.
100% natural. Not like, oh, we're gonna say it's natural, but it's actually like 80%. No, that's not who we are. We are 100% natural. And so coming in with that prerogative, and to be able to back it up with science and back it up with the delivery systems that we're working on, because I believe that there is a bridge, that there is a gap that we need to bridge, from the supplements to the pharmaceuticals. And like I said earlier, like I don't think everything has its place. And I come from the notion of abundance. I truly do.
Hmm.
And I think that there's space for everybody. And there's a space for supplements and there's a space for pharmaceuticals, but there's also space for something in between.
Hmm.
And what we do is really creating like this plant science and neuroscience and bringing it together. So our team really focuses on bringing natural solutions, but with the idea of efficacy behind it. And I think we're one of the first ones to really break that shelf. And because of people like me, and I think it's interesting that when I first started and I would look at this wall of medications,
Hmm.
and there wasn't one that I could take every day
Okay.
without
Right.
hurting my liver or
Yeah.
killing my kidneys. There wasn't one, which was
Okay.
very interesting to me.
Hmm.
And so I knew that there, for somebody like me, and I'm sure it wasn't just me. There's many,
Yeah.
many of us. And so the more I shared my story, the more I heard of like, oh my gosh, like, there's nothing like this. Nothing like this exists. And so
Right.
we set out to, and it wasn't a plan. Like I said, it wasn't a plan to go and create this category. It just so happened that I lived with this debilitating condition.
Right.
My background was able to kind of bring it all together. So I think what comes across as something that we do easily is actually not easy to do.
Right.
And what we've accomplished in a very short period of time, where most companies have been in the market for 20 to 30 years.
Right. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I like to say we're fast movers, because, and I say to my science team all the time, I say, guys, it's important that we come up with a solution in this lifetime. It's great that we have all of these ideas and we want to do this. And I said, but we need to make an impact in this lifetime.
Right. Right. Right.
So that's really important. So I think that's what sets us apart.
Well,
Definitely.
that's very cool. Like having that personal need, which you had that requirement, and then being able to create a product to really look after things, and then now you're distributing it, basically selling it to other people to help them. So, I mean, what kind of tips or suggestions would you give someone who wants to be more successful? Like it could be personal, like business,
Hmm.
in your scenario.
I think it's always, no matter what you're doing in life, you have to ask yourself why you're doing it, right? Because especially
Hmm.
the road of entrepreneurship, I think is one of the hardest roads that you could
Hmm.
pick. Sometimes I say, I'm like, if I had to pick this again, like, I don't know, you know, but then the reason why I keep going back to it is why I'm doing it.
Right,
And I think
right,
that's the difference. So I think for anybody, if you're starting a business or you're thinking about starting a business, um, I don't believe that it should be that, well, for me personally, it's not because I'm going to make a bunch of money.
right. Yeah,
Because let me tell you, the money is probably the last thing that you're gonna see. But if
right.
you don't have a mission behind why you're doing what you're doing and waking up every day and feeling passionate about it,
Hmm.
money certainly cannot be the leading factor.
Right.
It truly has to be why you're doing something in your life
Definitely. And
and
if I
try
could add to
and
that,
to make a difference in other people's lives. Yeah.
yeah, we've had such a large focus on being mission driven. And I
Mhm.
think that's what's the biggest impact that we've been able to create, not only for ourselves as a company, but for the people that we're serving. And that's the most important thing because without them, I mean, we don't exist, we're nothing. But if we have that mission behind what we're doing in terms of that being the driving force, that
Yeah.
is what creates the ultimate impact in terms of what we're doing. And additional advice that I always give all my entrepreneurs, people that I consult for, I coach, I mentor students at multiple universities around Calgary, and it's resiliency. It's stay
Hmm.
resilient. Everything, nothing's going to go perfect all the time. You've got to be able to pivot quickly when you're able to identify something that's not working or not working as fast. But stay resilient. There are going to be down days. There are going to be days that you don't feel like getting out of bed. Why did I choose this path? Why am I doing this? I think if you keep the mission larger than yourself and larger than sort of what you're doing, that in itself has impact and gives you the motivation to keep pushing. So, I mean, I tell everyone that I deal with, on a daily basis that that's probably the strongest trait that an entrepreneur can have is resiliency, the ability to pivot, and have a mission behind what you do. Our mission really is Sonia's story. It will always be Sonia's story because she is serving the people that have been unheard. That they oftentimes have been underserved and they don't feel heard. And the
Mhm.
biggest impact that we've had with our customers is that they're like, "Wow, you guys actually listen to us." And if I say, "Oh, the product's not working," or we reach out to them directly. Are you using it correctly? We give you a usage guideline, and then they'll write back, "Oh my God, like the CEO of the company is writing me, and they're telling me, oh my God, this is the way I should be using the product, and this is how it'll have impact on my life." And that's been the biggest thing for us is that people they feel heard, and
Mhm.
so from the business side as well as our consumer side, that's a really important thing of what we do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So having that mission, knowing who you're serving and why you're serving, I mean, that's fantastic, right?
Mhm.
And then to lay it out, I mean, the money is a result of being able to serve all those people.
Yes.
Correct. The
Yeah.
money comes. If you're doing the job correctly, the money will come.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And for us, our revenues have been growing year over year. We're really excited in terms of the position that we're in. It obviously adds added stress in terms of how are we going to hit the numbers next year, or what new
Right.
markets are we going to enter and access, and how well will that go? So that stress is always there. But we don't let that guide us, and we don't focus so much on that. Obviously, cash flow is important in terms of running the
Yeah.
business and keeping it operational. But I believe that if we continue to serve who we're leading to serve with our mission, that all falls into place, and it has
Mhm.
been. So we're very fortunate.
Mhm.
What's one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome, and how were you able to turn that into a positive? I mean, there must have been lots of challenges, I'm sure.
Yeah. The list of challenges are huge, but I think for any company, coming out of the gates, it's obviously resources. I think if you ask any entrepreneur, unless you have, a big bankroll behind you right out of the gates, I think
Hmm.
it's resources. So I think for us to really manage resources and not fall flat, I think that was one of the challenges for me, and I'm sure for Kapil on his side of the business, I'm sure it was
Mhm.
something totally different. But I think coming out of that, one of the first things I did, Gary, when I one of my first loans was with Futurepreneur, and
Okay.
yeah, Futurepreneur here in Calgary. And I said to them, I said, while I really appreciate this loan, can you please, and it came with a mentor. So I
Okay.
said, could I please, could you please connect me with a mentor that could actually help me spend this money? And
Okay.
yeah, and so, and to this day, Josh is still my mentor on cash flow. And so I think being scrappy and knowing what your weaknesses are, this
Yeah.
is not about, oh, I'm the winner. No.
Right.
This is about what am I the weakest at and how can I make
Absolutely.
that better every day?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I knew coming out of the gates, like if things that I don't know, if I don't learn those things, then this is not going to work. I knew I was good at science. I knew everything that I was good at, but I had to
Yeah.
really pick on the things, and that was hard. Truly, that was
So
hard. Yeah,
yeah, so like you had to really learn about the business component, the cash flow and yeah,
absolutely.
and sales and all that.
You
Yes,
know,
The
Gary, when we
technical
started,
side.
yes. This
we
wasn't,
actually sat
yeah.
down with that mentor, Josh, and we were sitting in his boardroom, and they're a business consultancy firm, accounting, so they really help, and they manage companies in the hundreds of millions of dollars in
Right.
revenue. And here we are, a little old Nature Mary, just sort of coming out of the
Right.
gate. And
Yeah.
he asked a very important question the very first day we met, and he's like, "Do you guys know your cogs?" And Sonia and I both looked at each other and we're like, "What the hell are cogs?" He's like, "Your cost of goods sold." He's like, "Do you know what that product is costing you to develop and get to market?" And oh my goodness, Gary, we had no clue what he was asking us about. So we literally had a crash course in business, finance. I mean, we really had to go through it. I ran previous businesses, but I sold commodities and things that were, recognizable global brands. There were things that I
Yeah.
didn't really have to worry about. I knew what
Yeah.
my cost was. I knew what my shipping cost was. I knew what the end cost was to my customer, and what my markup was. So it was a very very easy formula for me. But when you're manufacturing and when you're building a brand and you're doing all of this,
Yeah.
what are those costs? Marketing,
Right.
manufacturing, product,
Yeah.
raw materials, the cost
Yeah.
of holding the product in the inventory, in the warehouse, distributors, what's their fee? What are the promotions that you're going to have to start participating in retail? So my goodness, it was fee after fee after fee that we were just that we knew nothing about. So definitely a big crash course. And another piece of advice that I would give any emerging entrepreneur is find a mentor that has done it before, or at least can guide you
Yeah.
Yeah.
on some of the basic things first, and then obviously some of the things and the threats that you should be looking for. Josh was very instrumental in stressing the fact of don't run out of money. He's like, it's extremely easy to run out of money. One or two bad decisions and one or two bad allocations of capital can literally bury a company. And oftentimes, we heard this. This year we're nominated for the Scale Up Award, the 2026 Scale Up Award, and part of that we saw was that less than 1% of businesses get to this point. And
Mm.
oftentimes it's that first year where 85% of businesses will die. And it's usually due to lack of knowledge or mismanagement. And so one piece of advice that I always give to everybody is find a mentor, someone that can give you that knowledge along the way, and that will be the game changer for you for sure.
Yeah.
Right on. Right on.
Yeah.
It sounds like things are going really well for you and your businesses. As a busy entrepreneur and healthcare professional, I mean, a lot of time is spent running the active business. When looking towards the future, like many don't want to have to be working so hard for that income. So some of them look at, different ways of creating income through investing in stocks, bonds, crypto, or using a financial planner. What are your thoughts about ways of creating income outside of your work and active business?
Hmm.
Great
So
question.
it's definitely a little bit different type of question, but it's something for people to think about.
Yeah.
It is. I will jump and I'll give the opposite answer of sort of probably what everyone would expect. At the end of the day, we have our bills to pay. We have to feed ourselves. We have to pay our mortgage. We have to pay our car bills. We've got to put gas in the car. Um, I'm of the mindset you're either all in or you're all out. So you know what? There will be times where you're going to struggle, especially when you're just trying to grow or scale a business. One piece of advice that Sonia will always give is that don't quit your day job while you're trying to first build your business. Make sure
Yeah.
you at least have a path to revenue and a path to at least paying your bills, or at least covering your overhead prior to that. For me personally, I am the ultimate risk taker. It's gotten me in trouble a couple times, but it's also had given me a great amount of success. And so I'm of the mindset that you just kind of go all in, jump in the deep end, and just go for it. Because if you can't figure that out while you're in a moment of stress and under pressure, it's not going to get filled. It's not, you're not going to figure it out. I have friends that have been running side businesses for 15 years and they don't do much more than, a little bit of revenue on the side. It's a nice little cottage business or, side little business, but it's not something that will create a global business or something that, can have some serious impact for both them, their families, their future, as well as the market. So for me personally, I'm an all out kind of guy. I know Sonia's got a little bit different mindset on that, so I'll let her comment on that.
Well, I always think it's important to diversify, sources of income.
Yeah.
So for me, I still do a little bit of my side hustle, which is still aesthetics because I enjoy it.
Hmm.
Um, Mind you, it's cut down to a quarter of what it used to be, but because of just the sheer amount of time that I need to spend with our teams and growing the business with NatureMerry. But again, I think we're one of the lucky ones to have come past the pivot of oh my gosh, like we can't do like we've got to go find another job or I've got to go support in
Right.
a different
Yeah.
way. I think that we've passed that, but I think for anyone else coming, as you're going through this journey, and everybody's different, right? Like everybody deals with things differently. So if you mentioned crypto to me, like I wouldn't even know where to start, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think though, if those are people's strengths, then lean into it, whatever your
Hmm.
strengths are. As I tell my 14-year-old, I'm like, you've got to try a bunch of stuff before something actually hits.
Yeah.
So I don't think that you should be afraid to do, other things,
Yeah.
especially if your sources of income. You have a family to feed, like,
Yeah.
that doesn't stop. So yeah, I'm a believer that, do what you need to.
Okay. Right
Yeah,
on.
Yeah, totally.
do
Yeah.
what you need to do. And if that means that at some point that you don't have to rely on the side hustle and the side hustle becomes a main gig, like that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
As we're wrapping up our interview, what kind of exciting plans do you have in the works in the next 6 to 12 months?
I think for us, I mean, of course, we're like I said, we're homegrown. So growing in Canada, I mean, there's nothing, like starting in my kitchen and now seeing ourselves in, pharmacies across the country. That's huge. But I think for me, more personally, this is now becoming a mission of even, introducing the endocannabinoid system to clinicians. And that's
Hmm.
become a very interesting topic more recently that I'm very excited about. So, I mean, working with young pharmacists coming out of the gates,
Okay.
helping
Yeah.
them understand what these systems are about, understanding a little bit more about how they might be able to help when they actually come into practice.
Hmm.
So that's really exciting, and for me personally, and to be able to serve again women. I think women are the most hardworking, underserved population. And I
Yeah.
hate speaking of women because I'm like, we're not this alien, right? Like we live here, we belong here. We're not from, yeah. But I think like just being able to truly be there for women, I think is huge for me. And seeing us grow on this global scale, and being appreciated in other parts of the world, just like we're here. It's not just about, the women here in Canada, it's everybody and men too. I think as we grow our mission, I believe that there's a lot of men that will also, and I'm hearing it more often now too. Men have a certain bravado, right? Like men don't have it easy either. So I
Hmm.
think as we grow, there's going to be a lot of support that we can offer to every human being on this planet.
Right, right. Sonia and Kapil, that wraps it up today. Thank you for your time and
Thank you,
sharing your
Gary.
insights and tips with us. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show. If people want to connect with you, what's the best way for that?
Yeah, so naturemary.com is our website. Follow me on LinkedIn, Kapil Kalra. I am very active on LinkedIn. I've got a lot of engaging posts that I make, all the wins, the losses, the lessons, everything in between. And then our social media, so Instagram.com/naturemary underscore, Facebook.com/naturemary. We're all over the place. So you can find us on social media, LinkedIn. Yeah, look us up.
And across the country in all pharmacies.
Yeah, so and find us at all Sobeys, Safeway, IGA, London Drugs, Thrifty's Foods, Calgary Co-op, Metro, and a lot more to come. And another thing that I will add is that we are very excited about our global growth right now. I just got back from Dubai. We just got back from Japan. So we're really looking forward to serving those markets as well. So we're very excited.
Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Thanks,
Thank you, Gary.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at truenorthsuccessshow.com/guest. We'd love to hear from you.